Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the 315 Sports Podcast. Today, we do not have one of our main members, Shane, but we made up with that for our good friend Tarky Lombardi. Say hello.
What's going on, guys?
Uh,
Hey.
Later in the episode, in about 10 minutes, we're going to do our round one of the NFL draft mock draft in our own opinions. We randomized through a wheel who got what teams. But first, we're going to start with a little mini game called NFL Who We Play For. I'm going to give, starting with Steve, a player and three teams. Steve has to guess who he plays for. If he does not get it right, we'll go down to Gib. And then after someone gets it right, we'll move down to the next person. So, Steve, the first person is Philip Dorsett. Does he play for the Seahawks, the Patriots, or the Chargers?
So I'm going to go on a hunch. I think he left the Patriots, and I'm going to say, did he go to the Chargers?
He did not. Gib, do you know?
He's on the Seahawks then.
He is. That's a point for Gib, and now it is Gib's turn. I would say this one is probably the easiest one of the group. Matt Schaub, Titans, Panthers, or Falcons?
He was on. I'm gonna go with the Falcons. He was on the Falcons last year.
Yeah, Gib's got 2 points. All right, Tarky. Derek Wolf,
Oh, I know. Who
Broncos, Ravens, Cardinals.
I mean, I know he played for the Broncos. I'm just gonna go with Broncos because I know he played for the Broncos. Nope.
Nope. Steve, do you know?
Ravens?
Yes. He got a left in free agency to go to the Ravens. It is now Steve's turn. Zane Gonzalez is a kicker for what team? The Jets, Chiefs, or Cardinals?
I know.
Zane Gonzalez. Say Jets, Chiefs, or Cardinals?
Yeah.
Is it the Cardinals?
Yes. Good job.
So I feel like I know the other two kickers.
Gib, Pierre Desir. Redskins, Jets, or Colts?
Well, I know he was on the Colts, and I feel like I would have seen it if he left because you would have probably said something about it. So I'm gonna stick with that. He's still on the Colts.
Nope. He left. Tarky, do you know?
Yeah, I think I know this one. I think he signed with the Jets.
Good job. That's a point for Tarky. All right, and now it is Tarky's turn. Clinton Dix.
Oh, I know.
Is he on the Bears, Falcons, or Cowboys?
Bears, Falcons, Cowboys. He was on the Bears.
He was on the Bears.
I'm gonna say he left and signed the Falcons. I think, but I know he's on the Bears.
You're wrong. You know.
Cowboys.
Correct. Good job.
He signed Taha? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they signed him.
It's now Steve's turn. Sheldon Richardson. Browns, Vikings, or Seahawks?
I'm going to say the Seahawks.
Nope.
Is he still on Cleveland?
He is. Well, he was on Minnesota last year, but yes, he is on Cleveland.
Oh, he's on Cleveland.
Yeah, I didn't know that one either.
All right. I think Gibbs winning, and this is.
I think me and Steve each have. I think we each have 3,
Yeah.
and Tarky has 1.
This is the last one, though. I only made 8. I was expecting 4 people on the podcast today. Anthony Walker, the Bengals, the Colts, or the Lions?
I know who he was on.
He plays linebacker.
Colts. Man.
Huh?
Whose turn is it?
My turn.
No, it's Gibbs' turn.
Oh, it's my turn? Oh, sweet. He's on the Colts.
Yeah. All right. I think you're counting along at home. You can tell us who won. I'm pretty sure Gibb did win.
You have one back to back.
Yeah, you guys missed the MLB one yesterday. That one was interesting.
Is my camera working? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
You're there.
All
right. Now we will begin the mock draft, starting with whoever has the Bengals. Go ahead and say that. And
that would be
Dun 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 dun.
yes.
with the first overall pick. I'm going with a surprise. Not really a surprise, but not what the analysts are saying. I'm going with Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback from Alabama. I think he's a better prospect than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's a very good prospect. I think Tua's a great prospect. He's easily the best deep ball thrower in the draft. He has a lot better legs than Joe Burrow. I think he's a little less athletic than he thinks he is, and that kind of gets him into trouble, gets him injured. And those are really the concerns with him is his injury problems. But Going into a league where the quarterback is a lot more protected, I think he's going to have a better career than Joe Burrow. I'm going with Tua.
All right, so Tua goes off the board. Who has the Redskins?
I have the Redskins. I think it's a pretty obvious one. I got Chase Young going to the Redskins. He had 16.5 sacks and 6 forced fumbles in 11 games last year because he was suspended for 2 of them because of that bullshit payment thing that he paid back, which is ridiculous. The NCAA is a joke, but I won't get into that. In the NFL, you need guys to get to the quarterback. You need a quarterback, and he can definitely get to the quarterback. I think he's a special type of edge rusher because it sometimes takes edge rushers a few years to develop into like what they become, but I think he's different. I think he'll have immediate impact for the Redskins, and he'll be there for a long time. And I think the Redskins are definitely trending in an upward direction with Ron Rivera. And if they draft Chase Young, that's a good pick for them.
It's a great pick.
Yep. I would just if the Bengals do go with Tua, I would still wonder if the Redskins think about it. If they think about Joe Burrow.
Oh, they might think about it, but give me the right pick there. Chase Young's the right pick at 2, especially no matter who goes away. At 3, I got the Lions. I think the Lions at 3, if they can pick up the best player in this draft, I'm going to take Isaiah Simmons, linebacker, Detroit Lions. I think for Clemson, my bad. I think he's the best overall player in this NFL draft. I think he's an absolute freak on the defensive side of the field. He can play pretty much anything off the ball. So for Isaiah Simmons to go to the Lions, that would give them some hope going forward. No matter who goes the first 2 picks, I'm still going Isaiah Simmons at pick number 3. And I love that pick. I think if they should pick him up regardless. I think if they pick up Jeff Okudo, I'm sorry I can't say his last name, DB from Ohio State. That's they have a big quarterback need right now, which is fine, but Isaiah Simmons is the right pick there. So that's my pick.
Yeah, Isaiah Simmons plays defense. He doesn't really play a position. He plays everywhere.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
I agree. Who was the Giants?
I have the Giants. Okay, well, I'm really disappointed because I was really hoping to take Isaiah Simmons at 4. But, I mean, we can settle for Jeff Okuda. Okuda, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah.
Even though they drafted in the first round cornerback last year, and DeAndre Baker, he was pretty disappointing last season. So, I mean, honestly, everywhere on the defense side of the ball, besides maybe really D-line, is a need for the Giants. And Jeff Okuda, easily the best cornerback in the draft, had 0 pass interferences last year. I mean, I think it's a solid pick that helps him going forward.
All right, and as the GM of the Miami Dolphins, I would be ecstatic if Joe Burrow was sitting there at 5. So that's who I will pick up. I, unlike Tarky, do think he is the best quarterback overall in this draft, especially with the health concerns of Tua. And now without him getting his pro day, getting to work out in front of the scouts, I even think that gives Joe Burrow an edge over Tua just because we don't know what Tua and his injury are going to be. So at 5, I'll go with Burrow.
All right. Who's next up?
Yeah, what's the next team?
Chargers.
Oh, I got the Chargers. The Chargers have a pretty loaded roster, like top to bottom, but they obviously don't have a quarterback, and I don't think Tyrod Taylor – I think they have a definite playoff team roster, but if Tyrod Taylor's your quarterback, no offense to him because he's a good quarterback, but I think you need a better guy to lead your team to the playoffs. You could go offensive line with San Diego. That's always seems to be a problem, but I'm going to take Justin Herbert pick over Jordan Love. I think Herbert's more of a professional. He looks like he's more of a professional passer. He's got the size at 6'6". He threw for almost 3,500 yards and 32 touchdowns with only 6 interceptions, whereas Jordan Love threw for 3,400 yards with 20 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. He takes care of the ball better. He showed more promise throwing the ball later in the year than he did in the beginning of the year. The only concern with him is that some people say he's more of an introvert than an extrovert, and as a quarterback, you need to be a leader. But I think he can learn how to become a leader, and I think Herbert is the guy that San Diego is going to move with going forward.
I think he's too.
Oh, go ahead. You don't agree with that?
Mark?
Would you have taken Jordan Love, or would you taken?
I would not have taken a quarterback with the options.
They need a quarterback.
Lately, I've been seeing mock drafts not have them taking quarterback. I actually see mock drafts having them move back and taking.
They can move back, but we're not moving back here because then that gets all confusing. So
yeah,
I think with a pick given, he has a reasonable argument with Tyrod. isn't. I feel like the Chargers are more of a win now team than some of these teams
exactly. They have
at the top in the top 10.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's reasonable to say Herbert goes there. I don't think they're going to have that pick. I think you're right.
I think they would trade
I think they trade back in this mock draft. We're not doing trades.
Yeah, so I think that's it's not a bad pick for where you're at.
All right, at 7, I have the Panthers. I think this is an obvious choice. You just want to draft the best defensive player available. Some mock drafts have Simmons there, Okudah there, but they're both gone right now. So I'm going to go with Derek Brown out of Auburn, D-tackle. Big physical. Is going to get to the quarterback, especially now in that division. You have Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady. So not many fast QBs out there, obviously. So he'll definitely make his presence known. And, yeah.
Beast.
All right.
He is a beast. The Cardinals are up next. Where's the Cardinals?
Me. Number 8, I'm taking some Wirfs.
Yeah. Good pick.
Tristan
Wirfs, Iowa.
Some Wirfs, yeah, from Iowa. That's what I'm taking. I think especially you see what Kyler Murray did last year. He's a star in the making. He's their franchise quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years. They addressed wide receiver. They got DeAndre Hopkins. I think now it's time to invest in Kyler Murray, protect him. And I think Tristan Wirfs. I would take Jedrick Willis with really any other team here, but the Cardinals, since they're such an air raid team, and Jedrick Willis kind of struggles as a pass blocker, I'm taking Tristan Wirfs. He's a versatile player. You can play tackle. You can play guard. I think he's the best fit. I think he's the best fit for them right here. So
for sure. Again, with him, he's just. I think he's a beast. I think just because he's a little bit smaller than Thomas and Necton from Louisville, I don't. He ran a 4.85 as an O lineman. Like you got to credit that. He's gonna be a great pass tackle.
Yep.
And at 9, I have the Jags. Once again, I feel like they can really do anything here, best available. Do they want to protect Minshew, or do they want to get him a weapon with Judy or beef up the defense? I'm probably going to go with Mekhi Becton, get him beef up the O-line. One of the biggest guys in terms of height in this draft, and then also just massive. Good all-around tackle. I think any of these O-tackles could end up being the best, but he definitely has a chance. So we'll go with him at 9. Up is the Browns.
I got the Browns. All right, so Riffs and Becton were my 2 guys for the Browns, but because they're both gone, they have to get a left tackle. That was their major struggle in last year, so I'm going to go with Andrew Thomas out of Georgia. I didn't really do much research on him because I was going to go with Riffs or Betcon. But I mean, he is a starting left tackle at the University of Georgia. There's not much else to be said, and that's a position that the Browns need to fill. They don't need a wide receiver with OBJ and Landry. They address tight end with Hooper. They have a good defense. Not really many holes they need to fill, but they do need an offensive lineman, so they have to go a line here. So I'll go with Thomas.
For Willis?
Yeah.
I think the Browns can't really lose the pick. There's my bad, Tim, but I don't think the Browns can lose that pick because you have 3 walk-in starting O-linemen in the top 10 that can make an immediate impact for any of those teams. So I think whoever they get out of the 3 of Wirfs, Andrew Thomas, and Necton from Louisville, I think it's a win for them. So I think it's a good pick.
And then once again, I'm up. I have the Jets. Obvious need at O-tackle and wide receiver, but for now we're going to go with Jedrick Wills out of Alabama. That is their main priority. I know some fans might want a wide receiver, but of my friends that are Jets fans, I know their main priority is offensive line, protecting Sam Darnold. As a Colts fan, I know how important it is to get an O-line for a young QB. Obviously, Andrew Luck was hurt early in his career. I'm going to go with Jedrick Wills.
Good pick. Who's up next?
Next up is the Raiders.
Oh, Raiders already? All right. Well, here the Raiders really have 2 glaring needs. Well, 3 really at corner, linebacker, and receiver. But with how many talented wide receivers there are in this draft, I think taking one this early isn't really something that will benefit them best. So I'm going to take who I think is the best corner, not the best corner, but the second best corner in the draft, and C.J. Henderson from Florida. He's a physical corner. He's a good player, so I'm taking him.
That surprises me. I was expecting a wide receiver to come off now. Now with the 49ers, my main two would be a wide receiver and edge. They lost Buckner. They lost Sheldon Day, both the Colts.
Buckner's a tackle.
Oh, well, defensive line, my fault. But I'm going to go with the wide receiver here, Jerry Jeudy. My opinion, best wide receiver in the class. And I know they have the 31st pick, so I think they'll go D-line there if they don't at 13. So, yeah, I'll go Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, they should wait for the D-line. They shouldn't do a D-line at 13, especially if Derek Brown's off the board.
Who's the 14th pick?
The Bucks.
Bucks, okay.
All right, I have the Bucks. I think I'm surprising people with this. The Bucks right now went from an offseason of, unclarity, now picking up Tom Brady, definitely a win-now team. To me, you never can have enough weapons. I'm not taking a wideout. I don't think there's no wideout in this draft and getting a constant rotation between Godwin and Evans. I think right now the best pick you can do for the Bucks right now, this is my hot take, I'm going Jonathan Taylor.
I don't think
he's a playmaker. He's an absolute playmaker. He's going to come in, walk on the team, start right away for a team that's a win-now team. It's a win-now team. That's the biggest thing. I think he's the best running back in this draft. I think he's an absolute playmaker. He ran a 4.39. He's got breakaway speed compared to the other running backs in this draft. I think he'll come in with the Bucs and be a perfect fit in their offense, especially for a team that's just that not necessarily air raid, but they're going to be such a good passing team this year that having a stud walk in a running back would be good for them. I like Jonathan
Taylor. Next is the Broncos.
Oh, the Broncos. Oh, yeah, I did too. So the Broncos, I wanted to go with O-lineman. The guys I wanted are clearly not here right now. At tackle. So another glaring need for the Broncos. Wide out. For me, comes down to two guys. Right now, I think they could win with either. If they took CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson, I like them both for the Broncos. Right now, I think if I had to choose, this is personally, I think the Broncos. I'm not going to count out Jerry Jeudy, but I think for the Broncos right now, and some of the scouting reports say that they like Jefferson a lot too, so they could very well take Jefferson. I think for that purpose and that purpose only, I think I'm going to take Justin Jefferson out of LSU. The Broncos really liked him. That's why I read in the scouting thing. I was going to take CeeDee Lamb because I think that's the best wide receiver in the draft, but the Broncos look like they're going to want to take Jefferson. So if he's available there, that might be where they go with, especially with as many tackles that are off the board right now. So I think they're going with Jefferson. Got 4.43 speed. Not much to say about him. Absolute playmaker, big time playmaker. Made plays, the national championship. Jefferson that was on a stacked LSU team, but he proved to be one of the best wideouts in the country this year. And I don't know. I don't think you have to back up Justin Jefferson as a pick, especially if the scouts are loving them for that team.
My only question with that would be over CeeDee and Henry Ruggs. Yeah.
To me, I had as my first three. I was going to take CeeDee. I think Henry Ruggs. I think he's a great prospect personally. I think he's getting overlooked a little bit just because of Jerry Jeudy. But the thing about Ruggs is I think he's very good. I don't think they could lose there. I think that's just the reports were saying when I read it. The Broncos really like Justin Jefferson, and if he is available, they might take him. So that's why I took him. I probably would have gone with CeeDee, to be honest with you, but that's if the Broncos are going to take him, the most realistic it can be.
All right.
Next up is the Falcons.
All right, I got the Falcons. So they're two spots of need. They don't really need anyone else on offense. They need defense after losing Trufant. I was going to go with C.J. Henderson here, but he's gone. They need another edge rusher after losing Vic Beasley, so I'm going to go Kayvon Chaisson from LSU. He's a speed rusher. His production isn't crazy, 6.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, but he played well at the end of the year when they needed him to play well against Clemson. He was all over the field. He's athletic. He's a speed rusher, like I said. Put him on a D-line with Tack McKinley and Grady Jarrett, and if they can fill the other defensive tackle spot, you've got something working. So I'm going to go with Kayvon Chaisson to the Falcons at 16.
All right. Cowboys are next, right, Tim?
Yep.
All right, I have the Cowboys, and as you know, they lost Byron Jones in free agency, and that secondary kind of needed a little work anyway. So I'm going to go with Xavier McKinney, defensive back out of Bama. He's a good defender. He can line up at safety. He can play in the slot. He plays in the box too. He's really explosive as a blitzer. He doesn't have top-end athleticism, not top-end speed, but he's a guy that can come in there and fill a hole for them immediately, especially on a team like that, as talented as they are. I think he's a good pick for him.
All right. I'm up with the Dolphins, their second pick of 3 in the first round. Their needs besides quarterback would be offensive line, linebacker, and safety. And I haven't looked much into Josh Jones. I only know a lot about the top 4 offensive tackle prospects. So here at 18, I'm going to go with Patrick Queen, linebacker out of LSU. Physical, you saw what he did in the national championship game and game versus Oklahoma. Very physical, can move laterally, and probably the best linebacker in the class. Kenneth Murray is close second in my opinion, but I think they go with Patrick Queen. And next up is the Raiders again.
As I said, deep wide receiver class, so I didn't want to go with that 12, and it paid off because CeeDee Lamb falls all the way down to 19. I think the Raiders would be ecstatic in real life if they get CeeDee Lamb at 19. Honestly, he's the most complete wide receiver in the draft. The only thing he lacks is top-end speed, but, I think we've seen in the NFL that top-end speed doesn't necessarily translate to a great wide receiver. So I think tape shows everything. He's a fantastic wide receiver, and he's a great value pick here at
19. Jags are back up at 20, and I think the fact that Henry Ruggs is still sitting on the board as well, I like. So I'm going to go with him at 19, get Gardner another weapon alongside DJ Chark, and that'll be a pretty good offense next year. And then Eagles I have at 20 as well. Honestly, one of the most underlooked wide receivers. I think easily Eagles go wide receiver here. That's probably their biggest need. I think Denzel Mims out of Baylor is probably one of the most underlooked wide receivers just because of the top names at the list can kind of shadow over him. But I think he's going to be solid. He could have a chance to be one of the best in the class. And pairing him up with Carson Wentz could be a good fit. So next up is Vikings.
Who'd you take right there? Ruggs? Or no, not Ruggs. Who'd you take?
I took Mims.
You took Mims at 20? That's a good dude. I watched a lot of Baylor games last year. Mims is.
Yeah, he's underlooked just because of Judy, Lamb, Ruggs, and Jefferson.
You take Mims over Judy?
No.
What?
No,
I took Judy.
He was picked 12, or like whoever had the Jets, right?
Yeah, I took.
Yeah,
no,
you went
I took him at the Niners. I took Judy.
Niners, yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Ruggs and Mims back to back.
Yeah. Next up is Vikings. Who is it?
Oh shit, that's me. My bad. All right. All right. Yeah, the Vikings really have 2 glaring needs in my eyes. They have obviously wide receiver with Stephon Diggs being gone, and AJ Epineza is my pick. I kind of fucked that up. They need an edge rusher, and AJ Epineza from Iowa, I think is the best edge rusher at this spot. So I'm taking him.
That's a good pick. He had 8 sacks in the last 5 games.
He was a beast in the Big Ten, and
I feel like he's falling down boards right now. I saw him in my top 12 when mock drafts first started coming out. Now he's fallen, but that's a good pickup.
All right, who's got next?
Patriots.
Oh, that's me again. My bad. All right. Patriots here. They could either address. They have a lot of things they could address. They could address wide receiver. They could address edge rusher. Obviously, quarterback. And it's very tempting to take Jordan Love here. And I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Jordan Love out of Utah State right here. Talent-wise, he easily has the best arm in the draft, and his ability to make plays, just throw from so many different angles. He's probably the most talented quarterback, I would say, just out of raw talent, but he has a lot of problems with his decision-making and just his ability to understand the game. So I think him going to the best coach of all time in Bill Belichick, some would argue, I think it's the best possible fit for him, and it's a good fit for both parties involved.
I agree.
All right, we got
next up is the Saints.
Oh. All right, so the Saints can do two things here. They could have, if Patrick Queen was still available, I think they would have taken him in a heartbeat. He's from Louisiana, and they needed linebacker help, but he's not there. Denzel Mims is another prospect they could have taken because they have two receivers in Thomas and now Emmanuel Sanders, who are good, great receivers, but they don't have like a burner. Ted Ginn's old, and Denzel Mims could have filled that spot. So I'm going to go with defensive back because they need another corner opposite Marshawn Lattimore. I'm going to go with Trayvon Diggs. Stephon Diggs' his little brother from Alabama. He had 8 pass defenses last year, 3 picks, 20 solo tackles. He has an NFL bloodline with his brother, and as a great receiver, and his other brother played Division I football. And then one of the things about him is that he's a former wide receiver. When he was at Alabama his freshman year, he actually played wide receiver and defensive back. Great ball skills, physical, big, understands the game well. And when you're coached by Nick Saban, who used to be a defensive backs coach, those DBs coming to the NFL already NFL prepared. So I think the Saints probably don't want to take Diggs here, but if they have to, I mean, it's a good pick for them.
I agree. Vikings are back up.
Vikings. I got Vikings again. As I said, very deep wide receiver class, and if you can go at pick 26 and find a guy like T. Higgins, I think that fits him perfectly, especially losing on Stephon Diggs. At 6'4", just his athleticism is, I mean, really insane for his size. He doesn't have top-end speed, and that's really the kind of the big issue with him. But, I mean, besides that, just you saw his talent at Clemson, and he's a good fit for them, for sure.
Who'd you have the Vikings get in the previous pick?
I got A.J. Epineza.
All right. Yeah. Just make sure.
The Dolphins are back up, and another need of theirs would be an edge rusher. I have this guy is my second best in the class behind Chase Young. Yetur Gross-Matos out of Penn State, 40 tackles, 9 sacks. Just a beast. I think he's a good fit. If you can get him at 25, I think that's a definite pick.
That is a good pick.
I mean, Epineza wouldn't be a bad pick either if he was still here. If Matos was gone, I would have taken him, but Matos is here, so I'm going to take him.
That was pick 26, not 25.
26?
Yeah.
Oh, 20, whatever.
Very good.
Uh,
Up next is the Seahawks.
All right, I had the Seahawks. I know I want to take this. The Seahawks this one's easy. I'm taking Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma. I think they would be very happy to get them Kenneth at this low of a pick. I didn't think he'd be in the board. I was kind of hoping he'd fall. But the scouts have described him as one of the best underappreciated players in this draft defensively. They said he's a heart-seeking killer at linebacker. I know I played against a linebacker that was committed at Milford Academy this year at a JV game with Cortland, and we played him, and he only played the first quarter, but I remember he came into running back, and I've never got hit so hard in my life, but he was an Oklahoma commit that left the game after the first quarter because he didn't want to get hurt, but he was an absolute stud. I believe his last name was Turner, but I could be wrong. That was just my personal thing. But yeah, I think if Kenneth Murray falls to Oklahoma to the Seahawks at this late in the first round, I think they'd be really happy about that.
I think he's really underrated, Kenneth Murray.
I think he's underrated too. The scouts are saying he's very
can't really cover.
That's what I heard. Fast, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, him or Patrick Queen could go ahead of each other.
I think Queen's more athletic, and the way the NFL is going, they're going to take a more athletic linebacker than like a heavy hitter. like Murray is. But that's not to say Murray's not good. He definitely deserves to be a first-round pick, but I like Queen more than I like Murray.
I don't know how, like, longevity-wise Kenneth Murray can last, too. Just with the way he plays, how physical he is. I don't know. But we'll see.
Up next, the Ravens.
The Ravens. Yeah, that's me. Right now it's tough. My first 4 picks that I wanted the Ravens to grab are off the board. But, that happens in the NFL draft. I think they do want to address D tackle is one of the things they want to address. I wasn't expecting to have to pick this player, but I think this wasn't necessarily a lose for them. I'm taking Ross Blacklock out of TCU. He's very physical in the run game. Good frame, 6'3", 290, 40 tackles, 9 tackles for loss. Not a huge production, but a good D tackle, and that would fit the Ravens system perfectly. So I think they'd be happy with him there. If the other prospects they have are off the
board. Titans.
I also have the Titans. I think if they got this player here, they'd be pretty happy about it. I think there's 2 cornerbacks. They need to address DB. That's their biggest thing right now. I think they're the 2 cornerbacks that they're looking at here and that the scouts were looking at was Jalen Johnson out of Utah. They really liked him, but I think if this person's on the board, they're going to take him. Damon Arnett out of Ohio State. I think Jeff Oduku, or I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing his last name wrong, made people overlook him, and scouts talk about that for sure, that this is definitely a first-round DB talent. If he falls into the second, it's just because there isn't a huge glaring need for DBs late in the first round. But if the Titans could grab him here, I think they'd be pretty happy about that. So we're going to get Damon Arnett out of Ohio State.
Packers.
All right, so the Packers are a solid team. I think they need wide receiver help. The only really wide receiver they could take here, I'm not taking him, though, is Laviska Shenault from Colorado. I like him, but I don't think because the Packers, I think they need more of a burner than like another slot receiver to suit Devontae Adams. Not to say Shenault isn't good, but there's a top 10 talent prospect, in my opinion, that still hasn't been taken yet, and that's Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina, defensive tackle. If he's here, I don't think you cannot take him. Super talented. What the scouts say is the second best defensive tackle behind Derek Brown. People have seen him high as mocked as right after Derek Brown with the Jacksonville Jaguars at 9, and then he can fall all the way down to here too if he's not taken. But I think the Packers are going to go best talent overall, suiting up next to Kenny Clark, and then you have a defensive line of the Smith brothers, Kenny Clark, and Kinlaw, and I think that you got a good defensive line.
I think that's a great pick.
Yeah, that's who I was hoping to get with the 49ers next, but I'm going to say for them, is Christian Fulton off the board from LSU?
No, he's not.
All right, that's who they need a corner. Richard Sherman, obviously great. He's on the decline though, as we could see, getting burned by Tyreek Hill in the Super Bowl. We're gonna go with Christian Fulton here, cornerback, LSU. Fast, 14 pass deflections last year. Only 1 interception though, so we'll see how he translates. He's gone to a good defense. Could be easy. He's gonna learn well. Good coach staff. Yeah.
All right, so I think the Chiefs are the last team, right?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so the Chiefs need defensive back help, and I was going to go with Jeff Gladney out of TCU, but there's a guy that hasn't been picked yet, and his name's Grant Delpit. He's been LSU's best defender probably for the last 2 years. He wore the number 7 this year, which is like the holy number at LSU. It usually goes to the team's best player or the team's captain. Put him next to Tyrann Mathieu in that defensive back for the safeties. You have 2 LSU guys, 2 studs. I don't know how Delpit falls this far, but I guess if you don't need defensive back help, I can see it. But the Chiefs need another DB, and because Daniel Sorensen is Daniel Sorensen. If you have Grant Delpit and Matthew back there, they're going to be loaded again offensively, and that just helps out their defense, which came on very strong at the end of last year.
Yeah, Delpit's sturdy. All right, now that we're done with the first round, we could talk about teams that might move up into the first round, move out, or first couple picks who might swap, move up. So if anyone wants to give their opinion.
I feel like if the Chargers don't take a quarterback, which I don't think they will, I think they'll move out of the first round. I think
I think they'll move back to begin with, and then they might trade that pick back again and move out for future picks.
They're too good of a team to be in the top 10, and I think they know that. they don't have the glaring needs the other 10 teams or the other teams in the top.
They need offensive linemen, but I think like if they're at the 6th pick and if they want one of those 2 quarterbacks, and they can definitely take them there. Or I think they should move back to begin with, because I don't really think any other team in the top 15 needs a quarterback outside of the Dolphins and Bengals. So I think they can move back and get either of those guys at like 14 or 15 if one of those teams wants to move up.
I don't expect them to stay at 6 at all.
I don't think they will either.
If they were to move up, it'd be the Lions. It's the only team I see. Lions could see it as they would get one of their top 3 defensive players in Okudah, Simmons, or Brown. Chargers would move up and take Tua if he's there, but in this mock draft, Tua went at 1. So in that scenario, they would get Burrow, which if Chargers get Burrow, I think that shocks the world.
Yeah. It's past the Dolphins. I don't think Tua and Burrow together get past the Dolphins unless the Dolphins take Herbert.
I think this is something that I had in the back of my mind. If the Raiders offer, it would have to be both their picks. They have 2 first-round picks this year. If they offer both their first-round picks, Derek Carr, and then future first-rounders to the Bengals might move back, get all those picks. I don't know. That was something in my mind I thought would be like.
I don't know. The Raiders would be kind of selling their whole franchise for Joe Burrow. And they're obviously not set with Derek Carr, so they bring in Marcus Mariota, and that quarterback competition is never a bad thing.
Yeah, I just thought they brought it. I thought that's why they would do it, because they brought in Mariota as a backup to ship out.
I don't think Derek Carr played that bad last year either. I don't
think Carr's necessarily the problem either of the Raiders.
Yeah,
the Raiders have a lot of glaring issues.
No, but I just view it as like in the next 3 years, neither of them are the future there. Like Derek Carr he's not bad, but he's definitely on the decline. Not where he was before that ACL injury or something like 2017 or 16 or something.
I feel like
I don't think the Bengals would even go for that. The Bengals aren't moving. If they trade that pick, they're not moving past 5.
Yeah,
where the Dolphins are because
they're either getting Tua or Joe. They need one of the 2.
Yeah.
For my Steelers fans though, if any of them are watching this, with our first pick in the 2nd round, I think we're going to get a little white safety by the name of Ashton Davis, Cal safety. He's like 5'10", super fast, super athletic, super aggressive. Before he was a walk-on the Cal football team, but he was a track. He was on full ride there to run track, and he won multiple events in the Pac-12 at track. Pair him next to Minka Fitzpatrick, get rid of Terrell Edmonds, who's a liability in coverage, and put him in the box, and he can be a rover linebacker, like what Mark Barron did for us last year. And then you have the defense, I think, completely filled out if you bring in Ashton Davis. And he's a special team stud, too. So I think that's a good pick for the Steelers if he's there whenever they draft in the 2nd round.
I feel like Jordan Love he had the Patriots take him, correct, Tar?
Yeah. I don't think in real life that he'd fall past 20. I think someone's going to trade up and get him.
I think that's realistic to say. I don't think the Patriots are taking a quarterback in the 1st round, but because I just don't see. I think unless Belichick really sees something in them.
Yeah.
I think for them, they need to start addressing. Like, obviously Brady left, but the thing is they need to start moving forward as a team. You know what I mean? They have a lot of defensive veterans. Some left, some are still there. And going forward,
they lost a lot this offseason.
They lost a lot. Brady's just the tip of the iceberg. You know, they're not even talking about Calvin.
Wide receivers, they need skill position guys. They need some defensive back. They need a lot.
Well, yeah.
Get better. It's only deteriorating. Like, it's not like they don't have a young, good line anymore. You know, so it's.
And I think at that point you might not be focusing on Love. There's still QBs out there in the free agent market like Cam.
And a guy like Jacob Eason could easily slide to them in the 2nd round, too.
Or Fromm.
Jacob Eason, bro. Don't even get me started with Jacob.
Better than Fromm. Fromm blows. No offense, Kelly.
Both of them.
Fromm is
Jacob used to be a good quarterback in 1970. But
Steve, how do you feel about the Bills moving out? Give us your opinions on that for Diggs.
Oh, here we go.
Well, do I start or does Tarky start? I'll be happy to start.
You gonna have a little debate here?
Yeah, we'll make it quick. The Buffalo Bills, I don't know if people know this, had the most picks in the first 4 rounds this season before all these trades happened in the offseason. So coming out of the Super Bowl, they had the most picks. They gave up a lot. They gave up the most on any team gave up for a wide receiver this offseason. I think the only thing that makes it look bad overall is the Hop trade. But then again, I think Bill O'Brien is on a hot seat right now. He's great, he has success, but Bill O'Brien just did one of the worst moves I've heard in recent history in the NFL offseason. DeAndre Hopkins must have shot someone there because that doesn't make any sense, that move. As far as Diggs goes, we gave up a lot, but we also gave up a lot to address exactly what we needed right now. The Bills have the quarterback they want, and a good O-line, a good running back, and a top 3 defense in the league. The biggest thing we were lacking is the number 1 wideout. We had Cole Beasley and John Brown, both solid wideouts that can produce, but we didn't have a guy to go to when we're playing the Ravens tight. We're on I believe it's like between the 10 and 20 yard line. We need a guy to get the ball to, and we couldn't get to John Brown. We tried him, we tried Cole Beasley. We lost the game. Stephon Diggs is on that team for that thing. You beat the Ravens, completely different season. So for me, I feel like that's not just because of that one player. You're addressing exactly what the Bills need. They gave up a lot to get him, but they're a win-now team. That's something people don't realize. The Bills are a win-now team. They have a younger offense, but a veteran, solid defense. It's been top 3 in the league for 3 years now. The Bills are a win-now team. They did exactly what they had to do, go get the guy they needed. And right now, if they win the division, I'm not sure how they lose this trade at all. So you could say it's a lot of good first-round draft picks, but I think there's a good counter-argument, but you go ahead, Tark.
I just think there's just it's a multitude of things. It's the fact that in this draft, you just look at all the wide receivers in this draft. I mean, there's guys that go late second round that I would say had the potential to be just as good, if not better, than Diggs. I mean, that's how deep this class is.
That's a hot take.
I don't think that's we'll see.
That is hot.
Potential.
Top 10. So you're saying there's guys that go in the second round that would walk into the league and be a top 10.
Not a guaranteed first. I'm not saying walk in the league. Let me talk.
That's what the Bills need. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, it's a multitude of things. I don't think the Bills should be in win-now mode right now. You're in the AFC. The Chiefs are still in the AFC. You have the Ravens still there. I mean, you're telling me you're gonna break. The Titans are still there.
Texans.
You're telling me your top 3 team in the AFC right now. You had that. You gave up your first-round pick, not just in a draft with a million wide receivers that you would take in the first round. Not only that, you give up even more picks. Now you have to pay Stephon Diggs, who's making close to $10 million a year. In 2 years, you have to pay Josh Allen. You're going to have to pay Ed Oliver in 2-3 years. You're going to have to pay all these young studs that you have. So you're going to lose out. It doesn't make sense.
It does.
If
keep going. I'll let you finish.
Wide receiver is that big of a need. You are in a perfect draft to address that need. But you are giving up. You're paying way more money. You're giving up even more picks than you should. And it doesn't make sense because it's going to end up hurting you in the future when you have to pay all the young talent you have right now.
I would have loved to see the Bills not give up that first. Maybe instead of would they give 1, 6, and 7 or something like that?
1, 3, 5, and a 4 next year.
Oh my. Okay. Well, I thought it was okay. Well, I would have tried to give like 2 2s, 4 and 5 or something like that. Just avoid at all costs the 1. Although this is, like Tarky said, that is where I agree with him. I think this is very deep wide receiver class, and any of these guys could end up being better than Diggs. But at this point, no one is better than Diggs right now. And every draft pick is a risk. Every draft pick is a risk. You don't know how these guys are going to perform. So trading a first-round pick for Stephon Diggs, who is a secure wide receiver 1, is not as bad as some people may think. I just think all the rest of the picks that went along for him do make it look a little overpriced, but
that's
I
fair.
mean, he's a wide receiver 1.
All I'm going to say before Steve, you go again.
Yeah.
Wide receiver in the NFL is starting to look like now, like DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver in the NFL, or one of the best, and he got traded for a second-round pick. Like, they're expendable. Similar, like almost running backs are coming now.
That's true, but that was a fluke. That was an extreme one.
So, like, and you can get, like, I know this is 1 in a million chance, but Antonio Brown was a 6th-round pick. Juju Smith-Schuster was a 2nd round. I mean, all the guys the Steelers have at wide receiver, and they probably have Emmanuel Sanders was drafted by the Steelers. They drafted some of the most consistently productive wide receivers probably in the last 10, 15 years. Mike Wallett's another guy drafted by the Steelers. But you can find wide receivers later in rounds, and you can teach – and the guys you're going to find later in rounds are probably going to be more polished. They're not going to be as athletic. But polished receivers win in the NFL. Like Michael Thomas isn't going to blow by anybody, but he catches 115 passes every year and 1,500 yards and scores 10 touchdowns. And another thing with Diggs is that playing alongside Adam Thielen definitely helped him. and now being the guy that you're facing the number one corner week in and week out might hurt. And then with a guy with the team like the Bills, who are playing Buffalo in an outdoor stadium, they're going to run the ball later in the year. And Diggs has a kind of a tweaky attitude like everyone saw last year where he was telling teams to come trade for him. I could see this situation kind of becoming like not an Antonio Brown situation because Stephon Diggs isn't a dumbass, but it could turn into him like having temper tantrums on the sideline if he's not getting the ball enough and other guys are.
I mean, let's be real. He doesn't want to be in Buffalo. I mean, let's be real.
All right, I'll be real with you. The Buffalo Bills are a top 5 team in the AFC right now. So that's being real with you. Name 5 teams better.
Top 5, yeah.
AFC,
Top 5 in the AFC.
I think they're number 5.
Top 5 in the
Yeah,
AFC.
here, Tarky. I think the other arguments were fair, and I think the wide receiver argument overall, the counter argument is fair. I don't think this is a steal of a trade by any means, but here's what I'm saying: the argument that you can say that the Bills shouldn't be a win now team is horrible. Do you think you should try? If you think you have a lot of competition, do you think you should just not fucking try to be a win now team?
Like
you
the
have
Titans. No one expected the Titans.
It
Right now.
Like an organization in the NFL goal is to win games at one point or another. You're not going to start because there's a high competition in the AFC to not go out and get the guys you can to win now when you have a top 3 defense in the league that's established and only getting older. If the Bills were a young team and they went and got Diggs and you said, oh, that's fine, when they could have got CeeDee Lamb or a guy in the first round, sure. But the Bills aren't a young team like people think they are. Defensively, they're not, and defense is their core. When the defense is only getting older, we have a 2 to 3 year span to take a chance to make a run. And the Bills haven't won the division in fucking 20.
Yeah, now's the time for them to win the division because Tom Brady's gone.
I agree that
the Dolphins aren't there yet, and they look like they're going to be the next team that's going to.
I think this argument is very valid for probably 29, like for most teams in the NFL, but for the Bills situation right now, given the circumstances, they had to go take a shot, and they gave up a lot.
Any other year, this trade makes sense because no wide receiver class is this deep.
Yeah, I just don't think – but nobody's walking in and taking that role away from John Brown right away. I don't think CeeDee Lamb would do it just because the Bills, their system is with Brown and Beasley from last year. They needed a wide receiver 1, and I don't think CeeDee Lamb's going to come in or anyone in the stretch can come in and jump those 2 guys right away off the bat.
There's a difference to me between, like, not trying to compete and being in, like, going all out for when it's not smart to get rid of your resources, like a first-round pick in this draft, your picks later in this draft, and
like
then
you could draft Chase Claypool in the 3rd round, and he's a stud.
True, but he's not going to come in and be anything higher than a wide receiver 3 or 4 for us. But that is true. That is true. And the only thing is,
right away.
have multiple picks in every round they traded for. So when they gave up a 3 and the 5 and the 4 next year, they still have a 3 this year, they still have a 5 this year, they still have a 4 next year. So they still have those picks in those rounds. They just gave up the depth they could have added, but they don't need depth. They need a true wideout 1. And they're not going to go find that for this year in the 3rd round.
All right, we'll move on Gib, if you want to talk about the Steelers situation.
Yeah, I can talk about the Steelers if you want me to talk about the Steelers.
Yeah, we'll all talk about our favorite teams. Give everyone a little taste. You can talk about them not having a first-round pick, obviously traded.
Yeah, no, so
which worked out.
Yeah, so I mean, Minka Fitzpatrick looks like he's going to be the next great defensive back in the NFL. I think the Steelers are in a great spot, actually. I think there are 2 picks they could be taking in the 2nd round are my guy Ashton Davis, who I like a lot, and a lot of people are mocking Jonathan Taylor to them if he ends up in the 2nd round because James Conner's proven to be good, but he's proven to not stay healthy. I'm not a big fan of the Jonathan Taylor pick. I think you can get a guy like A.J. Dillon later in the draft who basically does the same thing as Jonathan Taylor. Not as good, but he's the same type of runner.
Drafting running backs in the 1st round.
I value.
What else? And the Steelers now, I mean, this is their time to win. The Ravens, I don't think the Ravens are there yet completely as a team. You bring back Big Ben. Juju comes back healthy. 2 really good wide receivers in Deontay Johnson, very underrated, and James Washington, who had a very good year after a very shitty rookie year. They added a tight end in Eric Ebron, who was hurt last year with the Colts, but 2 years ago when he played with a good quarterback and luck, he scored like 15 touchdowns. He's a red zone threat.
He needs a good
need a red zone threat. Offensive line is good, but they're old, so now's the time to win. Defense is young and old at the same time. Their cornerbacks are old, but their safeties are young. The glaring issue is skill position and another safety because Terrell Edmonds, excuse me, not Tremaine, because he's good. Terrell Edmonds can't cover anyone over his head. He's more of an in-the-box linebacker. He's a good – or safety. He's a good tackler. The defensive line's good. I hope the Steelers end up – I saw in the mock today they take my guy Alton Robinson out of Syracuse later in the draft to back up Dupree and Watt because they're both Dupree and Watt are both speed rushers like Alton Robinson. Not a big fan of the Dupree signing back Bud Dupree and letting Javon Hargrave walk. I think Hargrave's more important than Dupree would be. And we returned Stephon Tuitt this year, who was hurt last year. Devin Bush is a stud. They got rid of a bad contract with Mark Barron. And I think the Steelers, everything is trending up for them right now. And I hope, honestly, this might come as a surprise, but they should sign Jameis Winston, and then there's your quarterback once Big Ben retires in the next couple of years.
I like that.
Yeah, I do like that as well. Although there may not be many Colts fans out there, I'll just give my opinion on what we did here in the first round. Before free agency started and all that, my eyes were set on Jordan Love at 13. I, as well as Tarky, think he is a better prospect than Herbert. Maybe not as ready, but I think comparable to Mahomes, nowhere near Mahomes, but comparable game style. So when we traded that 13th pick, I knew a QB was coming our way in Phillip Rivers in free agency. But it also told me that we were maybe thinking defensive line at 13, which is why we traded for a Pro Bowler right then and there, certified. But then we also have 2 second-round picks, the first one being number 34, which is the second overall pick in the second round. So I view that as basically a late-round first. Someone took T. Higgins. I forget where. I think he went to the Vikings, if I'm correct. But I would hope him, if Mims falls, I don't think Mims falls, him, Rager, or Higgins would be there. At 34, I think Rivers desperately needs another wide receiver besides T.Y. Zach Pascal and Paris Campbell are okay third and fourth options, but there needs to be that number 2, who I think one of these rookies could definitely step up and immediately be a number 2, especially on a weak depth for a Colts team. And, yeah, we should also target just corners. I mean, we signed Rhodes. If we draft a young guy with the other second-round pick or third-round pick, he'll learn well we also picked up TJ Carey under them. And, yeah, I think that's our direction. I think we are – now that there's 7 playoff teams, you never know where the Colts could end up. I think it'll be close between us and the Titans now. I think Titans are definitely a little glorified. I don't think they're as good as people. Ryan Tannehill is a big ass bum. I don't care what you say. He's not as good as people think they are.
I agree with that.
He is.
I agree with that.
If you look at it, why do they go to the AFC Championship? Say with me on 3, 1, 2, 3. Derrick Henry, not Ryan Tannehill at all. Never threw from more than 200 yards in the playoffs. So yeah, I think the Colts definitely contend, especially with a veteran in Phillip Rivers. Pick up DeForest Buckner. You have Xavier Rhodes. You have the rest of the guys. Darius Leonard, Rookie of the Year, from 2 years ago. And Quentin Nelson, obviously that O-line is the best in the league. You can debate me on that as well. So I think we contend for our AFC South or wild card spot. I don't think we miss playoffs.
I feel you got to watch Old Man Rivers for 16 games. He's horrible.
I like his energy. I don't think he's horrible. He had horrible O-line last year. No protection.
That's true. He's not the future. I don't.
No. We got him for 1 year.
To me, I mean, obviously not. I mean, that's obvious. But to me, for the Colts, like,
so what's their plan?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What's
you're
their
taking
plan?
Phillip Rivers for a year, you're not going to be bad, so you're not getting Trevor Lawrence next year. You might just look again and get Lawrence, and then you're set.
I think one second. I think our plan is, if you look at Jacoby Brissett and how he played that first 7 games of the season.
He's good. I would go with Brissett
yes. Before he got hurt versus the Steelers, we're 5-2, wins over the Chiefs. And so he gets hurt versus the Steelers, misses 2 games. We lose the next 2 because Brian Hoyer steps up at quarterback. First off, we lose the Steelers off a Adam Vinatieri missed field goal. But yeah, I don't like him anymore. So Jacoby was solid, And I think he learns from veterans well, like he did for Andrew Luck. He'll learn from Phillip Rivers. And he, once again, could be the future. I want him to once again learn. I feel like that second half of the season was horrible for him. And it's because he lacked someone who could show him leadership. So
T.Y. Hilton was hurt last year. You couldn't throw the ball to anybody either.
Yeah, we are starting one game late in the season. We are starting 3 wide receivers. We're all on the practice squad to start the season.
Exactly. So it's not entirely his fault.
So those first 7 games, I think that was a great look at him. But this will be Phillip Rivers' year. We'll let Jacoby learn, and he could still end up being the future. I do have his jersey. I do believe in him.
Tarky, you want anything to say about the Giants?
You want to talk about the Giants?
That shit.
Another shit year to be a Giants fan. Have a little bit of a direction. I'm still not completely sold on Daniel Jones, but he definitely showed a lot of flashes. Do I think that he can reach the potential to be a guy that can, win a Super Bowls? No, to be quite honest. But he's there. I really didn't like. I'm not even going to get into last year's draft with him going at 6 and everything, but I think thank God we didn't take Haskins. I didn't want him to take Haskins anyway, but. We have there Saquon. He's a beast as always. That O-line is in desperate need of help. And honestly, I really wish, because it's been our need for the past half decade is O-line, but drafting at number 4 in this draft, if you have Simmons on the board at number 4, there's no value. Like, honestly, the value isn't there taking any lineman in the draft at 4.
You have to take Isaiah Simmons.
Even Okudah. I would take Okudah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take Okudah over an O-lineman when the Giants' immediate needs a line. I don't think.
Well, they'd have to trade. They would trade back, and they'd have to trade back.
I would hope that Simmons isn't there, that they would trade out of the pick.
Yeah.
Defensive side of the ball. They've drafted D-line pretty heavily the past couple of years. So you got Dexter Lawrence, Dalvin Tomlinson, just traded for Leonard Williams. So I'm hoping that comes together. But defensively, it's not great. We signed James Bradbury from the Panthers, so that kind of helps us at corner. DeAndre Baker hopefully fucking stops playing with the cock, and we really don't have any safeties, but it's whatever.
It's the last thing I'll say before we wrap it up. This year's draft is fully online, kind of like fantasy football draft. So I think if the Giants were looking to trade out of that pick, it'd be difficult, because how easy is it going to be when you're on the phone at home, not with all your guys? How easy is it going to be to decide on where you want to drop down to?
They're probably going to be talking about that leading up to the draft, and then they'll have a plan. If Simmons is there, they take Simmons, and if he's not there, if they want to trade back, then they trade back.
I think that Simmons will be there anyway.
I think he will too. I think the Lions have they have the Kennard guy, and they traded away big play Slay. So
I could also see him dropping to 6. The Chargers taking the QB and Simmons.
Yeah. Also, if they want to move out of that,
go QB Chase Young.
No one's taking Isaiah Simmons before the Giants, unless if the Lions just royally want to be, fuck around and take him. But I don't see them take. Not to say that, Steve, when you picked him, because I think he's the best player in the draft.
No, I agree. I think you're right. I don't think they'd trade Slay without playing the draft.
I think he's better than Chase Young. I think he has more value than Chase Young, because he can play.
I think Chase Young
plays everywhere on defense.
Yeah.
The only reason Chase Young would give him a run for his money going forward is that
Chase Young's he's a sack artist. He's a pass rusher. Pass rushers get paid.
Pass rushers dominate.
Yeah.
So but Isaiah Simmons is gonna be all over the field for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Isaiah Simmons is gonna be a stud. Wherever he goes, they're gonna have an all-pro defensive player, regardless of where he lines up for 10 to 12 years.
What the Browns thought Jabril Peppers' ceiling could be already is Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Peppers. He's all right.
Now the Giants have Peppers. He's not bad though.
He's not bad, but like the idea when he was coming out of college that this
no safeties. He's okay, but he's not a great coverage safety.
Yeah, but he can't. He's not compare. That was the comparison there is that he can play all over the field. It's not talent wise. Those two shouldn't be in the same sentence. It's talent wise.
All right. We're probably gonna wrap this one up. We will discuss topics for tomorrow if we return tomorrow. If not, in the next couple days. Keep DMing us if you want to be on the show. We had Tarky as a guest today. Yes, Tarky, you have something to say?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. If you ever want to talk college football, you ever want to talk quarterbacks, let me know. I'm here.
Yes. hopefully we have Shane back next episode. He had some work to do. But yeah, keep DMing us topics you want us to talk about. If you want to get on the show.
This is more of a personal thing. If anyone has Madden coins on PlayStation 4, please let me know. I'm willing to pay for them if it's at a reasonable price. But if you're going to donate them to the show, which would be me and Tarky, because we run a Mud Squads team, that'd be greatly appreciated.
We take donations.
If you guys want to give us money, that'd be fucking unbelievably cool. But we're not expecting it.
Bills Mafia, rise up, step on Diggs.
Baby, go Colts.
And to all my Steelers fans out there, don't you worry. We're winning the division this year. Fuck the Ravens. They're overrated. Lamar Jackson's overrated. Not sold on him yet. I don't care what people say. He might get, it never happens. He might get hurt a little bit, maybe a little bit of spy game action going on. Pittsburgh, take his knees out one game. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
All right, everyone, leave in the comments your hot take.
Oh, wait. What do you guys – because, all right, let me tell – so our schedule usually is like one day MLB, NFL, NBA, and then we can have like a random day. So if you guys have anything important that you want us to discuss, we can talk about that next time.
Yes.
All right. Because I'm like a half viewer, kind of.
Yeah.
Can I drop a comment physically?
Yeah. You can tell us right now.
I think you guys should either do some college football previews or you guys should do a quarterback breakdown of the class. I think that'd be perfect quarterback.
So you just want an invitation back.
I don't think we're gonna do back-to-back NFL or football podcasts. I feel like we like to switch it up, but that is definitely something.
In time, Tarky. Good idea.
Something we will definitely ring your line for. Yeah. So I'm gonna give a quick shout out to some boys that I know want to get on the episodes. We'll get you on. We've got Leo wants to get on. Ben Fish, Brevin Scullion, Adam Hannes, Will Hayes. And
if Will's on, Jack Hayes needs to be on.
Oh, yeah. Turner Pomeroy wants to get on, and my boy Jared from Syracuse.
Oh, yeah. Add another one to that. My guy Nico from Mercy wants to hop on for a random day episode because he wants to talk about, like, different shit. Because he's a fucking shithead.
Make sure to follow the gram. I'll put in the
throw Tarky's name in there too, maybe.
Yep, no, everyone's gonna get a little shout out. The usual boys Instagram will be there. We'll put Shane last because he skipped today's episode. But yep,
hit us up with
the DMs with more topics, and we'll see you later.
Peace.
Yeah.